Taking place throughout RuneFest on the main stage behind me here are the Insider Sessions, where gamers get to meet the Runescape team, ask them questions and give them feedback. Topics include gaming updates, characters and getting into the industry. And one hot topic this year is the subject of how the team are combating botting. Daniel Clough tells us more.
We have two types of botting going on within the game. We have real world traders who are essentially using bots within the game to farm gold and sell it to other players. The other type of botter that we have is typically, I guess we tend to call them more of a genuine player playing the game. So this is a real player. Essentially, they're either pressured on time, but they really just wanted to progress through the game, more quickly. So to keep the integrity within the game, it's very important not to have them.
Well, I can see it's a big issue amongst RuneScape players, so here is the Insider Session, breaking the bots.
There's three people I'd like to call out specifically today, and that's one is not here today. That's Mod Chrissy, Mod Phil, if you'd stand up in Game Engine, and last but not least, Mod Ben, who has been the genius behind this. So where are we today? We broke the bots. But we don't see this as done by any means, any way, shape, or form. And we've done some really, really innovative, groundbreaking stuff. Numerous patentable inventions to get to where we are today, to really have an elevated posture on protecting our game source code. It has pained us, I guess, as much as it's pained you, to see where our game has gone. And given the first available chance, we actually thought it was going to be the 14th of October that we would be ready to launch this, but actually even then we weren't, and we needed a little bit more testing, and it needed to be really, really robust. So we obviously launched it at its very earliest opportunity on Tuesday. And the crucial thing to say is that we've only just got started. This is, we felt that the payload we had was very, very formidable, but over the next month, actually weeks and month or two, we're going to be finishing this project. And then, I think, and it will never be a case we can rest on our laurels, but I think at that point, we will be really, really proud about what we have. There's been some questions even here today, like, why is this a problem? Why, if someone wants to level their skills, why don't you just let them? And my view on that, and the short answer is that you can't, because it breaks the game. How does it break the game? Well, it's not just the balancing and the economy and the inflation and the deflation, which obviously a lot of you feel so acutely, but it fundamentally changes the nature of the game. It fundamentally takes it away from what is a multiplayer social experience to a single-player anti-social experience. If someone is botting, they're not sitting there with their chat open and they're a ghost. They're disabled. They don't want their friends to know they're botting. So they're hidden from the game. They're there as an active player, but they're quiet. If you take the sociability out, it's no longer a massively multiplayer game. It's no longer a social network. It's no longer a place you go to unwind and chill out with your friends. So, I think even for the most highbrow of you who may say, well, what harm does it do? I just did this skill here. It wasn't to do anything that harmed the economy and everything else. The truth is, look, we don't want your computer to play with our computer. We want you to have fun with our community. And it's as simple as that. So that's the first reason for it. The second is it undermines the integrity of the game. For me, the most valuable thing I have, the thing I prize most preciously between a busy job and a family and all those other things is my time. I don't have that much of it. And I want to know if I'm putting 30 minutes in this evening, that 30 minutes is equal to everyone else's 30 minutes. And then there's the third, the most obvious and nefarious portion of all of us, which is the gold farming. And this is not players, this is not you who wants to advance your skills or compete with your friend, but these are people who have businesses, and their sole business is to undermine our game and you and everything else. They're parasites. They make money off the game itself. They make money off buying on your goodwill or your ambitions or everything else. And equally we've seen that these are major sources as well for hijacking and all sorts of other problems as well. So I'm not even going to spend time on why that philosophically needs to be dealt with. So where are we? What have we done? Everyone understands the problem. We've been absolutely rigorous and determined to stamp it out. A lot of people, and I've had one or two chats with you today, that there was an air of cynicism going, of course, you like bots. You don't care. You got more players. Quite the contrary. Nothing terrifies me more than feeling that 50% of my player base might not actually be real. If we were deeply commercial, we would do nothing. If we were deeply commercial, we would just leave it. We would tax it. We'd make money on it. And when we did what we needed to do, in essence, it's actually cost the business a lot. It has. Not just in terms of a rump of the community that may have been alienated, but quite simply and quite bluntly, in monetary terms too. I think when we did the post to you on Tuesday, we had banned 1.5 million gold farming accounts. I can tell you, as of now, we are banning 9,000 accounts a minute. By the end of Sunday, we will have another 7.7 million gold farming accounts banned. We used to have some 750,000 accounts from China and Korea created per month. We've got that to 953 over the last week. We're looking at this from every single aspect, not just dealing with the people in game, the ways they can get into game, the ways they can promote their wares in game. We're also we're going after, and many of you will know, there's a few topical things on this. We're suing the bot makers themselves. We've banned also, by the way, more members this year than we ever have in our past. So it's not about looking after the subscriber line or anything else like that. But I want to leave you with a final point, just saying that we're absolutely resolute. We're galvanized about solving this problem. We've made a major first step. We're also looking at the causes of the problem, grind. We're looking at various other ways of dealing with this. We're looking specifically still. The next part of the war we need to take is back to the gold farmers, and we're looking at that. We're cutting off their payment methods. We're doing all. We're fighting as hard as we can, almost as unfairly as we can, to win. Why don't I invite Daniel and Richard over here for some questions and put it over to the floor. So if I just introduce you very quickly, Daniel's the Vice President of Runescape, one of our longest-serving members of the team. I think you're employee number 13 at the very early days, and he's also my right-hand man. He's our Chief Operating Officer. And Richard Murray is our Chief Customer Officer. So everything in relation to player support, community management, everything else lives under him. Over to you. Any questions from the audience?
Since the bot nuke day, how many bots have actually been removed from game?
So there's been a cross-company think tank really focused on the deployment of cluster flutter and all of the associated things that we can do exactly in the same time frame to deploy it. Because previously, we'd put out one little thing, and then something else would, the bot guys would fix it. But specifically this week, I think Mark alluded towards it, this week so far, and this year so far, has been the biggest year for us in terms of banning players from player support. We've banned 7.7 million people this week. A couple of weeks ago, we banned 1.5 million. And all of the other years combined, all of the other RuneScape years from day one doesn't even compare to that number. So we've been really, and we're not stopping there.
Yes, it's just a quick question. We was on the forums the other day. Wouldn't it have been a good idea if one of the mods could have come on there and explained exactly what was going on? I was offline for over 24 hours. It would have been a good idea if somebody had actually said, look, boys, this is what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've spent nothing but this week, personally, probably up to 3, 4 a.m. on the forums. Our highest priority has actually been finding out who's got problems. And there's, I have a raft of emails between people I've managed to find who said, help, I can't get in, my applet's not loading. We've been working around it. We feel that as of last night, probably even there were some lag issues, we think we've addressed big tranches of this. But this is a perfect, tech is to blame. We did a major code rewrite in order to break these bots. And we're obviously deeply sorry that one of the consequences of that was a small percentage of the community couldn't access the content. And I know, if you play it as much as I do, then I know how painful that can be. But for that, I can only say sorry. And truly, we have a team still dedicated to all ongoing tech support issues, and we still want it to be even faster and quicker and everything else.
You know, it's really, really important for us to communicate with our players more. And I think if we go back to the beginning of the year, and I know it's taken a while for Cluster Flutter to come out, I think one of the things that, you know, when we look back to January that we could have done better is communicate with the players more. So, you know, I think that, you know, going forward, you'll see us put much more effort into that area. And, you know, in the last couple of weeks, I think we've spoke about bots more than we probably have in the last 8 or 9 months.
Yeah.
And, you know, that will continue, absolutely. It's really important.
Yeah, I think to add to Daniel's point, look, there's nothing internally that probably frustrates us more than not being able to tell you what's going on. It's infuriating, but partly, as kind of Mark pointed out earlier on, our hands are tied because of legal cases, and actually a huge part of that is also not tipping off bot developers in terms of what we're doing. So, you know, we really appreciate the faith that you have put in us and have shown in us, and thank you for that.
Okay, back to Paul.
Okay, I'm here with the lovely Ian. Ian, you have a question?
Yeah, guys, it's back to the numbers of players that you've banned again. There's, what was it, 8 to 9 million by the sounds of it. Do we have a figure percentage-wise on how that plays out for the amount of players that were in game?
What you would have seen is the meta picture on active players. If essentially 60% of the playing community prior to the Tuesday update is no longer playing. And I don't believe that's because their bots aren't working. I believe that these are the people who were the sweatshops and everything else who were just running their bots day in, day out to produce currency. There's been a slighter reduction in memberships. So the weight of this really sits on free. Yeah, and again, a lot of people are complicit where they have a members account, but they bought some free accounts to produce the resources for them and stuff like that. By having culled that, we've effectively taken out 60% total, which is probably about 90% free as a members free split.
Player support can see, at the height of the problem, anywhere between 100 and 200,000 new botting accounts created every day. And just think about that for a second. 200,000 accounts coming in to take your resource and spoil your game. And you know, the impact internally and the focus that we need in order to tackle that is immense. And so look, we're really happy with the week that we've had so far. It's a start. We've got more ideas, so you know, just keep watching.
Okay, I've got a question over here. I'm at the back, guys. Right at the back. This is Riella.
Hi guys, we know you've put a lot of effort into the banning, you've given us those figures today, and I know you're going to keep doing that for us so we don't get frustrated. But one of the things we've observed on the forums is a lot of frustration about rollbacks and account resetting, and that does tend to sometimes give the idea that you've gone a little bit soft on bots. Now, I think a lot of that is not from understanding why you're doing that instead of banning. Can you give us some kind of insight on that as to why you're choosing that rather than the visibly harsher punishment of an outright ban?
Outright banning still happens. It still happens for members. It still happens regardless of what level you are. Over the course of the last couple of years, the landscape has changed. You know, bot developers don't stand still. Why should we? You know, and you know, from conversations that we have internally, we come up with new ideas and new ways to tackle things, whether it's rollback, chargeback, etc. And we experiment. And the idea is to cause maximum pain and try and understand what the impact is going to be. And we try and learn from that. The amount of people who have been rolled back is incredibly minimal. It's so small, it's unbelievable. Whether or not we continue with that as an option, we're not sure. You know, that's the kind of thing that we need to work out. But you know, it's interesting to learn from this. But I don't think it's the wrong thing to do to try and evolve our thinking and evolve our strategies and have many more tools in our arsenal.
Mark touched on it earlier on, is that our focus has really, really changed from, you know, I think we realized that banning members, rolling them back, you know, it's quite time intensive for us to actually do that. We have teams of people that monitor things and, you know, take action against people. The number one thing that works is actually breaking the bots. And this year we've been utterly focused on, you know, technology improvements that can do that rather than, you know, the time intensive process of rolling people back and banning people, which doesn't actually affect, it doesn't tackle the root cause of the problem.
I'm here with Raven. I don't know if that's his real name or not. And it's the last question, so I hope it's a good one. No pressure, though.
Hello. I've noticed that RS bots have been taken out. RS bots. Robots in disguise seem to be acting with impunity. A lot of people seem to go back to auto-clickers and a number of other methods. Have you any plans to tackle robots in disguise in particular and the auto-clickers?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we did with Cluster Flutter was specifically aimed to completely nail all the reflection injection type bots, which are, you know, the most sophisticated, the most problematic. they're able to work around various other countermeasures that we actually have to deal with the clicker bots. The beauty about the clicker bots is it's a far easier problem to solve, and that's why we've left it for last. It was also smaller in terms of quantum, as it was truly 2% of all the bots we were seeing. And we feel we can very much deal with that, and also the community can help us deal with that with regards to right-click reporting, because the behaviors are that much more scripted and almost trivial. So, you know, for sure, as I was saying earlier on, this is just the start of a process. We obviously wish we were 10 months back when we started this process, or we had the ability to be there. But the landscape for the next few months is going to be very, very interesting.
And I suppose as well, one of the things which is quite important is you as the community can really help us. I think in a couple of ways. I mean, firstly, last week we've improved our reporting features and functionality. So if you go into your settings menu, you now have the ability to right-click report on an avatar. Now, we've introduced that because we know botting accounts purposefully create a hard-to-type name. That's the feedback we get from you on the forums. And look, I might not be typing back in the forums, my team might not be typing back in the forums, but I can bet you they are reading them 100%, because a lot of our ideas are actually generated from you and the thoughts that you have. So please use these new reporting tools and help us. But I think it's also probably important to say that, look, we're dealing with a problem which is a massive, massive, intensive resource problem for us, that we'd rather be putting that resource into building great content for you. You know, if we're going into a lawsuit, or we're trying to tackle bots, or taking a couple of guys from Game Engine to start to tackle reflection-type bots, etc., it takes us away from truly what we want to deliver from you. It's a necessary evil, but you can help us by reporting. You can help us by making sure there's no market for them. And you can help us by making sure that the people that you play with are playing with integrity. And I think, you know, together, this isn't something we can do by ourselves. We truly, truly need to stand together on this.
Fantastic. First off, a round of applause for these guys. It's very difficult to answer questions on the hoof, so well done, guys.
Thank you.
Some interesting points raised there. So what's been the community feedback since the big cull of bots last week?
It's been really, really positive. I mean, you know, our forums in the last week, I think the guys have loved it. I think there was a degree of apprehension about whether it would work or not. I think it clearly has worked, and you know, every single post, you know, 99.999% of posts have been really, really positive. I think some people are wondering how long it will work for, and I think we're very confident it will work for a significant period of time. And we have multiple other projects as well, you know, like the cluster flutter that can be used and to stop bots. So I think overall, very, very positive. In terms of how people can help us, you know, essentially, you know, it's really, really important that if you see a bot within the game, or you think you see a bot within the game, to report it. And then the other thing is really, you know, gold farming only exists if you're buying gold. So we would really, you know, go out there to say don't buy gold, because you know, essentially it just it thrives the market really, and you know, we're aiming to try and stop that really. So for the good of RuneScape, it's really important that you don't buy that gold, and also that you don't bot.